Chapter 1. The Ring of Power, Your Mental Operating System. For 3,000 years, one story has echoed through mystery schools, Freemason lodges, and forbidden texts. The story of a king, a ring, and an army of demons. King Solomon, on his ivory throne, faced not ambassadors or priests, but shadows. Creatures of smoke and fire, representing chaos, volcanic rage, and unbridled lust. Any other man would be dead or possessed. But Solomon was calm. He raised his hand. A geometric seal flashed on his ring. The demons bowed, and he gave them a single command: "Build my temple." The beasts, whose nature was only to destroy, began to cut stone and smelt metal. Legend says he controlled demons with a magic ring. The truth is far more powerful. He controlled the demons inside his own mind. What if the most powerful tool you could ever possess isn't an object, but a state of consciousness? For centuries, treasure hunters have sought Solomon's physical ring, believing the object held the power. They are naive. If you found that ancient ring and put it on, nothing would happen. It would be a piece of old metal on your finger. Because Solomon's ring is not an object, it is a metaphor for the sovereign will. Tonight, we deliver that ring to you. We decode the legend to reveal that the 72 demons do not live in hell. They live in your limbic system. They are your fear, your procrastination, your uncontrolled desire. This is the master key to the first pillar of Solomon's Code, the technology of your own mind. To understand the power, you must understand the problem, the mutiny within. The average man is a slave to his impulses. He is the dog that is hungry, so it eats. Angry, so it bites. There is no distance between impulse and action. His inner kingdom is in chaos. The throne is empty, and the demons are in command. Look at your life. If you don't have the money, the body, or the peace you want, it is not because you are bad. It is because there is a committee of slaves running your mind. You say, "Tomorrow I wake at 5 a.m. to work on my project." The alarm rings, and a voice says, "No, it's cold. Sleep more." That is the demon of laziness speaking. And you obey. You hand over the crown. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you are abdicating the throne. You are kissing the feet of the beast in your own house. The catalyst is the realization that these demons are not your enemies. They are your unruly workforce. Religion taught you to fear your darkness, to pray for it to go away. Solomon laughs at that. The secret code says, "Energy is neither created nor destroyed, only transformed." Your demons are pure, nuclear energy. Think, how much energy does a man possessed by rage have? How much drive does a man consumed by lust possess? How much focus does fear create? These are not sins to eliminate. They are engines. The problem is not the demons. The problem is that they are loose. They are chaotic, destructive fuel. Solomon's genius was seeing the raw power in the chaos and realizing, "I do not need to kill this energy. I need to channel it." This is the anatomy of the ring. The ring represents the I am. It is the self-aware consciousness that separates itself from impulse. The king has impulses, but he is not his impulses. The ring is that distance. It is the ability to observe the demon shouting, "I want sugar," and to say with absolute calm, "I hear you," but the answer is no. Instead, I will use that anxious energy to go for a run. This is the alchemical transmutation. Solomon did not kill his demons. He tamed them. He took the demon of avarice and said, "I like your hunger, but you will not steal. You will build the greatest trade system and bring me gold under my rules." Avarice, channeled, became prosperity. He took the demon of pride and said, "I like your desire to be great. You will not humiliate others. You will build the most majestic temple, so the world is amazed." Pride, channeled, became excellence. Your traumatic past, your rage, your wounds, this is not garbage. This is free atomic energy. The rich and wise man is not the one with no shadow. He is the one who has put his shadow to work. Do you think it will be easy? The moment you decide to put on the ring, to take command, the demons will rebel. It is a law. When the teacher enters the noisy classroom, the children shout louder to test his authority. When you decree, "I will be rich," your demons of doubt will scream, "Who do you think you are? You'll fail." When you decree, "I will be healthy," the demon of gluttony will roar with a craving for sugar. They are testing the firmness of your ring. If you give in and say, "Well, just for today," the demons laugh. They know the king is weak. The ring is plastic. But if you stand firm, if you hold the gaze of the beast and breathe with the calm of Solomon, the beast tires. It recognizes a superior vibration, and eventually, it bows its head. Each temptation overcome does not disappear. It is integrated into you as strength of character. This is how you forge the ring, not in a fire of magic, but in the daily furnace of your choices. There is a warning in the Talmud. Solomon, drunk with power, once took off the ring to show it to a demon. In that instant, the demon grew giant, threw Solomon 400 miles away, and usurped his throne. Solomon spent years as a beggar, wandering and shouting, "I am the king," while everyone thought him mad. The lesson is brutal. Power is not permanent. Power depends on eternal vigilance. The moment you take off the ring, when you become arrogant, when you think you no longer need the daily discipline, the beast takes control. And the fall is very hard. Many successful men have lost everything because, once at the top, they took off the ring. They let laziness, scandal, or pride in, and the demons they once commanded ate them alive. The price of the ring is never paid in full. It is a perpetual subscription of vigilance. So the code of the ring forces a simple, daily question onto you. Who gave the order this morning? Was it the king? Or was it the committee of slaves? Did you decree your day from a place of sovereign I am? Or did you react to the shouts of lazy, fearful, and hungry impulses? The throne in your mind is never empty. It is always occupied. The only question is, by what? By the chaotic energy of untamed demons? Or by the conscious, deliberate will of a sovereign? The ring is waiting. It is not in an antique shop. It is forged in the fire of your daily routine, each time you choose command over complaint, action over anxiety, and integrity over impulse. Put it on. The kingdom is yours to rule. Chapter 2. The Inner Temple, your digital age blueprint for order. Jerusalem, 950 BC. The greatest infrastructure project in the ancient world is underway. But if you stood at the construction site of Solomon's temple, you would hear something strange. Nothing. No hammers, no shouting. Just the wind and the precise placement of stone. The Bible notes this bizarre detail. All stones were pre-cut at the quarry. Neither hammer nor axe nor any tool of iron was heard in the house while it was being built. Meanwhile, in your world, the hammers never stop. Notifications, emails, endless scrolls, a psychic construction site of pure noise. Solomon's first master law of wealth is not about money. It's about acoustics. He built in sacred silence. You are trying to build your life in a meme war, and you wonder why the structure is shaky. How does a 3,000-year-old building code fix your modern life? Solomon's temple wasn't just a religious site. It was a psychological and economic operating system. Every detail, from the foundation stones to the priestly garments, was a metaphor for internal order. He knew a universal law: as within, so without. Your external chaos is a diagnostic tool. Your messy room, your bloated inbox, your reactive schedule. These aren't just minor annoyances. They are the cracks in your personal temple's foundation. Before Solomon received a single talent of gold, he spent 7 years designing the container. Your plan is to get the gold first and hope a container appears. That's the plan of a beggar, not a king. Before building God's house, Solomon secured a peace treaty with Egypt and a strategic alliance with King Hiram of Tyre. He didn't just draw blueprints, he secured the supply chain: cedar wood, gold from Ophir, expert masons. His first act was not construction, but diplomacy and resource acquisition, creating external stability for a decades-long project. Your supply chain is your attention, energy, and time. But you outsource it to Silicon Valley's attention markets. Before you can build anything meaningful, you must secure internal treaties. A peace treaty with your procrastination. A strategic alliance with your focus. You are trying to build with materials hijacked by TikTok, Netflix, and the news cycle. You haven't secured your borders. The temple had a strict hierarchy of access. The outer court, public; the holy place, priests; the Holy of Holies, high priest, once a year. This wasn't elitism. It was energy management. Not every thought, person, or demand deserved access to the core. Your mind has no firewall. You let the 24/7 news cycle, the shouting outer court, into your Holy of Holies before breakfast. You let a co-worker's gossip, a random passerby, dictate your inner peace. Your smartphone is the main gate, and you have no guards. This isn't metaphor. Create literal digital courts. Outer court, social apps. Accessible but limited by strict app timers. Holy place, work/creative tools. Accessed only in focused blocks, with notifications slain. Holy of Holies, deep work/strategy. A 90-minute, phone in another room, single app session. This is where you place your most precious stones. Solomon used specific, high-vibration materials: cedar, resistant to rot; olive wood, pure gold. He rejected the common and cheap. The materials themselves carried a frequency of permanence and excellence. You are surrounded by digital pine, cheap content, fast fashion ideas, disposable relationships. Your brain is a temple decorated with the metaphysical equivalent of plastic. This creates a bargain basement psyche. Conduct a material audit. Information diet. Unfollow accounts that sell anxiety or envy. Curate feeds that teach architecture, not gossip. Physical space. Apply the Solomonic standard. If an object in your home is broken, ugly, or unused, it is a crack in the temple. Remove it. One quality item is greater than 10 cheap ones. Body temple. Solomon spoke of health as marrow to the bones. Your body is the primary vessel. Low-quality fuel, processed food, creates a low-frequency container incapable of holding high-frequency wealth. Solomon's system worked, until it didn't. In his later years, he violated his own code. He multiplied foreign wives, who brought their gods, fracturing the temple's spiritual unity. He multiplied gold for its own sake, hoarding it as dead metal on shields rather than a circulating life force. The focused temple became a cluttered museum. This is the digital fall. You start with a clean desktop, a clear goal. Then you add just one more subscription, app, or side hustle. You hoard tabs, files, and contacts like dead gold. The singular purpose fragments into a dozen directions. Your inner temple becomes a warehouse of half-finished projects, a monument to dispersal, not focus. The peace treaty with your focus is broken. The core of the temple wasn't the gold. It was the Ark of the Covenant in the Holy of Holies. This contained the tablets of the law, the central, non-negotiable purpose. You must define your covenant. Why do you want wealth? If the answer is for status or consumption, your temple is hollow. If it is to build, create freedom, or elevate others, you have a sacred purpose that gives structural integrity. Define your arc. Write your core purpose in one sentence. Place it where you see it daily. Silence the hammers. Schedule one iron tool-free hour daily. No devices, no noise, just you and your blueprint. Guard the gates. Audit who and what has access to your attention. Demote time wasters to the outer court. Banish energy vampires. Solomon's temple was destroyed centuries ago, but the code remains because it's about energetic architecture, not stone. Your life is the temple now. Your attention is the most sacred site. The noise of the age is the hammer and chisel you've forgotten you can silence. The clutter in your space is the cracked stone you have the power to replace. So the question is not, what should I do? The question is, what will I deconstruct today? Will you delete the app that owns your morning? Will you clear the physical clutter that clouds your mind? Will you silence the hammer of notifications to hear the blueprint only audible in quiet? The stones are in your hands. The design is in your will. Build. Chapter 3. The Tongue of the Birds. Your vocal alchemy in the digital age. Ancient texts whisper that King Solomon possessed a gift beyond wealth, the tongue of the birds. He could sit in his garden and converse with eagles, hoopoes, and sparrows. They brought him secrets from distant lands. The rational mind dismisses this as fantasy, a children's tale. But you are listening in the age of noise. You understand that birds fly high. They see the whole map. The tongue is not chirping. It is high-frequency communication. It is the mastery of turning breath, ruach, the same word for spirit, into a force that organizes reality. While you spend your days in digital crowds shouting to be heard, Solomon commanded the wind. The difference isn't magic, it's physics, and you are breaking the law with every careless word. What if your most careless complaint was a curse you cast on yourself? In Genesis, God creates with a phrase, "Let there be light." Reality is vibration. Your voice is shaped spirit, a frequency that orders the sand of your physical world. Just like sound waves create geometric patterns in cymatics experiments, Solomon didn't just talk, he decreed. You don't. You leak. You spend your sacred breath, your ruach, on gossip, complaint, and subconscious programming that builds a prison of your own making. This chapter is a verbal detox. We're not learning to speak. We're learning to stop poisoning the well you drink from. Solomon's legendary wisdom was often displayed in silence and potent questions. When two women claimed one child, he didn't argue. He used a shocking decree: divide the living child in two, to reveal the truth. His power was in the strategic application of a terrifyingly clear command, not in endless debate. He also maintained a golden box of silence around his plans, never leaking their energy through premature talk. You live in the opposite state. Your power is dissipated in explanation, justification, and seeking validation. You draft the tweet before doing the work. You explain your dream to people in the outer court, Chapter 2, draining the motivational pressure needed to build it. Your word has no weight because you give it away for free, as chatter. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, Proverbs 18:21. This is not poetry, it is technical manual. The phrase I am is the most potent incantation you possess. In Hebrew, I am, Ehyeh, is a name of God. What you attach to it becomes your identity. You practice involuntary black magic. I am so stressed. Decree to your nervous system. I am terrible with money. Decree to your financial flow. This always happens to me. Decree to fate. Your subconscious, the most loyal servant, hears these as royal commands. It works day and night to make always broke and always stressed a reality, ensuring the king's word is law. You are a wizard who accidentally hexes himself every morning. 1. From complaint to command, the cymatics shift. Old pattern. I'm sick of my job. Vibration. Entrapment. Powerlessness. Solomonic reframe. I am aligning with work that respects my value. Vibration. Movement. Agency. Even if not yet true, it directs energy toward a solution. 2. The I am protocol. Forbidden. I am a disaster. I am poor. I am old. Authorized. I am capable. I am a learner. I am resilient. I am in the process of building wealth. Rule. Never complete that sacred phrase with a lie you don't want to live. 3. The digital golden box. The leak. Posting your half-formed goals online for dopamine likes. This releases the creative pressure. The seal. Silence. Keep your plan in the golden box of your notes app or journal. Let the pressure build until the only release valve is action. The lion doesn't announce the hunt. It hunts, then it eats. Solomon's warning. There is a Talmudic story where Solomon's power is stolen when he carelessly reveals the secret of his ring. The metaphor is precise. When you utter your core power frivolously, you give it away. The modern collapse. Gossip. Gossip is the ultimate perversion of the world. When you speak ill of others, you are not harming them. You are tuning your own mental radio to the frequency of judgment, pettiness, and low vibration. You become a magnet for those same energies. Furthermore, you destroy trust. If you speak ill of John with Peter, Peter knows you'll speak ill of him with John. No one brings secrets or opportunities to the town crier. In an age where every DM can be a screenshot, your reputation as someone impeccable with their word is a rare and priceless currency. Solomon's court discussed ideas and strategy. Your digital court is often a gossip column. Which room do you think attracts real power? The 7-day verbal fast protocol. Actionable alchemy. This is harder than a food fast. For 7 days, 0 complaints. About traffic, weather, politics, pain. 0 gossip. Do not speak of people not present. 0 self-contempt. Ban, I'm so stupid/lazy/broken. The pause. Before speaking, ask, is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? The result. First, agonizing silence. You'll realize 80% of your speech is mental pollution. Then, a surge of energy returns. The power you wasted on complaint becomes available for creation. Your words gain weight. People listen. You become regal. Solomon's birds weren't sparrows. They were intuition, ideas, and synchronicity. High-flying messages you cannot hear when your own internal noise is a constant scream. Your tongue is not just for talking. It is the chisel of your reality. Every complaint is a chip in the wrong block of stone. Every decree of "I am" is laying a cornerstone. So the question for this week is not what you will say. The question is, what will you, from this moment, refuse to say? What silent vow will you make to your own spirit? To seal your plans in a golden box? To banish the gossip that poisons your temple's air? The wind, the ruach, is neutral. It will fill the sails of "I can't" just as easily as I can. You are the captain. Your word sets the course. Speak like the sovereign of your fate, or remain a subject of your own careless chatter. The choice is a single breath away. Chapter 4. The Judgment of the Sword. Two women stand before King Solomon. Both claim to be the mother of the same living baby. Both have convincing tears. There are no witnesses, no DNA tests, no digital footprints. It's one heartbreaking story against another. Solomon doesn't call for a debate. He doesn't consult scrolls. He does something monstrous. He calls for a sword. Divide the living child in two, he says. Give half to one and half to the other. In that moment of brutal pressure, truth crystallizes. One woman agrees to the butchery. The other surrenders her claim to save the child's life. Solomon's sword never touched the infant. It was a tool of psychological surgery, designed to cut through narrative and reveal intent. You face a world of convincing stories every day. In your DMs, on deal memos, in political promises. Where is your sword? In a world optimized for persuasion, how do you find what's real? Solomon's sword is the ultimate metaphor for discernment. It is not brute force. It is the application of extreme, calculated pressure to see how something, or someone, breaks. Does it break into truth or into lies? You are drowning in data, but starved of truth. You are surrounded by people who are brand name, not character deep. Your problem isn't a lack of opportunities. It's an inability to distinguish a golden opportunity from a gold-plated trap. This chapter is not about being cynical. It's about developing visceral intelligence. It's about forging the sword that can cut through the digital fog. Solomon's famed wisdom to govern, 1 Kings 3:9, was, in Hebrew, lev shomeah, a listening heart. His judgment wasn't just intellectual, it was intuitive. He listened to the vibration beneath the words. The sword was merely the instrument to manifest the pressure his discernment already detected. You have been trained to override your intuition with logic. When your gut tightens at a contract clause, you rationalize, "The lawyer said it's standard." When you feel a coldness from a charming new partner, you dismiss it. "I'm being judgmental." You've sheathed your innate sword in favor of reading the user manual provided by the very person who might be scamming you. Your body knows the truth before your brain does. Solomon trusted his gut. You've been taught to ignore yours. The ancient anatomy of a lie. Analyze the false mother's response. Neither for me nor for you. Divide him. This is the essence of envy and toxicity. It's not about possession. It's about preventing the other's victory. The destructive impulse outweighs the desire for gain. You have people in your orbit, maybe in your comments, your colleagues, even your family, who embody this. They are the energy vampires. They don't want to succeed. They want you to not succeed. They'd rather sink the ship with everyone aboard than watch you captain it to a new shore. They cloak it as concern or realism, but their vibration is oppositional. Your first act of discernment is to identify who in my life would agree to divide the child. Forging your modern sword. The pressure tests. Solomon's method is a protocol. Apply calculated pressure and observe the fracture points. Test 1. The resource test. The pocket touch. Scenario. A potential partner is all charisma and big ideas. The sword. Your belief in this is inspiring. To move fast, I need you to cover the first $5,000 in operational costs to prove commitment. We'll document it as a convertible note. The fracture. The true believer will find a way. The mercenary will vanish or make excuses. You've touched the pocket where true intent lives. Test 2. The boundary test. The line in the sand. Scenario. A new romantic interest is love-bombing you. The sword. Set a non-negotiable, slightly inconvenient boundary. I don't check my phone after 9 p.m. for deep work. I'll get back to you in the morning. Or, I need 2 days of quiet to think about this. The fracture. The healthy person respects it. The manipulator will punish you with guilt, anger, or withdrawal. The mask slips under the pressure of a no. Test 3. The silence test. The uncomfortable pause. Scenario. A high-pressure salesperson or negotiator is pitching. The sword. After their pitch, say nothing. Just hold eye contact. Sit in the silence for 15 seconds. Let them confront the void. The fracture. The confident, truthful person can hold the silence. The insecure or deceptive one will rush to fill it, often with concessions, oversharing, or tells that reveal their weak position. Solomon's ultimate weapon. Emotional detachment. The sword's power required Solomon to be willing to let the child actually die. He had to be detached from the outcome for the test to be credible. This is the core of negotiating power. The willingness to walk away. The modern failure. You get attached to the result, the deal, the relationship, the job title. Your neediness becomes a scent that predators and low-value players detect. Your sword is made of rubber because you're afraid to cut the thing you think you need. The Solomonic stance. You must love your project, but be willing to burn the plans rather than compromise your integrity. You must desire the relationship, but be more committed to your own peace. This detached sovereignty is what makes your sword sharp and your discernment fearless. When you are no longer afraid to lose, you become impossible to manipulate. The daily sharpening routine. 1. The power pause. Institute a mandatory 24-hour rule on all significant commitments. Let me consult my calendar/system and get back to you tomorrow. This breaks the spell of urgency, the scammer's greatest tool. 2. The Devil's Advocate Council. For major decisions, appoint a trusted, skeptical friend to the role of jester. Their job is not to support you, but to attack your plan. If your idea survives a skilled skeptic's assault, it's solid. If it crumbles, they've saved you a fortune. 3. The Data Over Hope Audit. Stop saying, "I hope they change." Judge by past behavior, not future promises. Has the client paid on time before? Has the partner followed through historically? Hope is a terrible strategy. Data is your whetstone. Discernment is not paranoia. It is clarity. Solomon didn't hate the false mother. He simply didn't give her the child. You don't need to hate the scammers, the users, or the envious. You just need to see them. Ah, you are a scorpion. It is your nature to sting. I will not put you in my pocket. Your life is the throne room. Every day, petitions arrive. In your inbox, your DMs, your conversations. Most are disguised. So the final daily question is this: what are you today willing to divide to find the truth? Are you willing to risk an awkward silence to hear a lie spill out? Are you willing to kill a bad deal by walking away to find the real one? Are you willing to cut a toxic person out to save the vitality of your entire kingdom? The sword is not for vengeance, it is for pruning. It is the tool that keeps your garden alive. Wield it with calm, sovereign hands. Chapter 5. The Alchemy of Gold, Programming Your Wealth Frequency. 1 Kings 10:14 contains a number that has haunted theologians and treasure hunters for 3,000 years. Now the weight of gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 663 and 6 talents of gold. 666 talents. Approximately 25 tons of gold annually. The number of the beast, they whisper. The mark of the demonic. But you, who have been decoding the symbols, know better. Solomon was not a demon worshipper. He was the master of matter. He understood that money is not a demon. It is a frequency. 666 is the number of man, the number of carbon. 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. It is the atomic signature of the physical realm. Solomon's wealth was not a curse. It was proof that he had achieved absolute mastery over the material world. You have been taught to fear money. You call it the root of evil while secretly begging for it. This schizophrenic relationship is the chain around your ankle. Tonight, we break it. The Alchemy of Gold. Programming your wealth frequency. What if money isn't the root of evil, but simply an amplifier of who you already are? Solomon's 666 talents were not a blessing or a curse. They were a result. They were the inevitable outcome of a man who had aligned his internal frequency with the flow of abundance in the external world. Your money problems are not economic. They are energetic. You are trying to catch water with closed fists. You are praying for rain while holding an umbrella. You say you want wealth, but deep in your subconscious, you believe it corrupts, that rich people are bad, that you don't deserve it. That contradiction is a circuit breaker. Every time abundance tries to flow, your own mind flips the switch to off. Today, we rewire the circuit. We enter the alchemist's laboratory. When God offered Solomon anything, he famously chose wisdom, not gold. And God replied, "Because thou hast asked this thing, and hast not asked for thyself long life, neither hast asked riches for thyself. Behold, I have done according to thy words, and I have also given thee that which thou hast not asked, both riches and honor." Money is an effect, never a cause. The world chases the effect, the paycheck, the lottery win, while ignoring the cause, the value created, the problem solved. Solomon built a system of value: justice, security, trade routes, knowledge, and the money followed like a faithful dog. You are obsessed with making money. Stop. Obsess over solving problems. The amount you earn is directly proportional to the magnitude of the problem you solve and the difficulty of replacing you. If you solve small problems, you earn a little. If you solve complex problems, you earn a lot. If you solve systemic problems that affect millions, you earn like Solomon. You are staring at the thermometer, trying to heat the house by shouting at it. while the boiler of your value contribution sits cold and unattended. The ancient block. The money is evil virus. Somewhere in your psyche, a scripture fragment echoes, "It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God." This has been misinterpreted as a condemnation of wealth. It is not. It is a warning against attachment to wealth. But the virus installed a deeper program. If I am rich, I am bad. If I have money, I will become corrupt. The Solomonic antidote. Solomon was the richest man on earth and was called Jedediah, beloved of the Lord. The temple of God was not built with good intentions. It was built with tons of gold. Poverty is not holy. Poverty is slavery. If you are poor, you cannot help your family, fund hospitals, create jobs, or have the freedom to meditate because you are too busy surviving. Your reframe: money is neutral. It is an amplifier. If you are generous and I give you $10 million, you become a philanthropist. If you are an idiot and I give you $10 million, you become an idiot with a megaphone. Money only reveals what you already are. So stop fearing it. Start healing your relationship with it. The physics of currency: water, flow, and stagnation. The word currency comes from the Latin currere, to run, to flow. Money is like water or electricity. Its nature is movement. The Dead Sea versus the Sea of Galilee. Both are fed by the same river, the Jordan. The Sea of Galilee is full of life: fish, birds, vegetation. It receives and releases. The Dead Sea has no outlet. It receives, holds everything, and the water evaporates, leaving only bitter, lifeless salt. The miser is a Dead Sea. He hoards, clogs the flow, and his wealth becomes toxic. Solomon didn't bury his gold. He launched the ships of Tarshish. Every 3 years they returned, laden with more gold, silver, ivory, apes, and peacocks. He circulated wealth. He invested in trade, in construction, in people. He kept the water moving. Your protocol. The 10% tithe to yourself. Before you pay the landlord, the credit card, or Netflix, pay yourself first. Separate 10% of every single dollar you earn into an account that is not for spending. This is your Ships of Tarshish Fund. For investment, for education, for the seed that becomes the tree. Watching this account grow reprograms your scarcity subconscious. It tells your brain, I am a source. I generate more than I consume. Despite his wisdom, Solomon in his later years began to violate his own code. He multiplied gold for its own sake. He made hundreds of golden shields and hung them on walls. Dead gold, inert metal. He hoarded chariots and horses, violating the kingly laws of Deuteronomy. The flow stopped, the pressure built, and when he died, the kingdom shattered, and the gold was looted within 5 years by Egyptian raiders. You know this pattern. You chase the promotion, get it, and immediately feel the same emptiness. You buy the car, and within a month, it's just a car. This is the hedonic treadmill, the Midas curse, where everything you touch turns to gold, and you starve because you cannot eat gold. The cure is purpose-driven wealth. Solomon's gold built the temple, a sacred purpose. His later gold built his own ego. When money serves a mission larger than your comfort, it flows. When it serves only your ego, it stagnates and rots. Your subconscious reads symbols. Perform this ritual tonight. 1. Take out your wallet or purse. Look at it. Is it old, torn, stuffed with old receipts? That is a shrine to financial neglect. 2. Empty it. Discard the trash. Clean it. 3. Upgrade it. Buy a quality wallet. one that feels good in your hand. 4. Organize your bills, largest to smallest, all facing the same direction, smooth and flat. This is not superficial. This is sympathetic magic. You are telling your subconscious, money is respected here. Money is organized here. Money is welcome here. Treat your money with physical respect, and your subconscious will begin to treat your financial life with respect. Solomon's gold turned to dust centuries ago. The shields were melted, the temple razed, the talents scattered. But the alchemical formula remains. It was never about the gold. It was about the alchemist, the mind that understood flow, purpose, and the neutrality of matter. You are that alchemist now. You have the crucible. You have the formula. So the question is not, how do I get more money? The question is, what is the size of my vessel? And what sacred purpose will the gold serve when it arrives? Are you a Dead Sea, clutching and poisoning what you have? Or are you a Galilee, receiving the Jordan of opportunity and releasing it to create life all around you? The ships of Tarshish are sailing. They take 3 years to return. What you launch today, you will harvest when the season turns. Launch with purpose. Launch with flow. The gold is just the echo of the value you send out into the world. Make it an echo worth hearing. Episode 6. The Queen of Sheba, the magnetic principle in the attention economy. Jerusalem, 950 BC. The ground trembles. The air thickens with exotic spices never before smelled in Israel. An endless caravan of 1,000 camels snakes through the city gates, laden with gold, precious stones, and rare incense. At its center, surrounded by Nubian guards, rides the most powerful woman in the world, the Queen of Sheba. She has traveled 1,500 miles through bandit-infested desert, across deadly dunes, for months, just to reach one man. She did not come because he chased her. She did not come because he slid into her DMs or offered her a discount. She came because a rumor reached her throne room, a rumor so potent, so magnetic, that a queen had to cross continents to see if it was true. Solomon sat still in Jerusalem, and the world came to him. You run around the world chasing scraps. He sat on his throne, and the queens brought him gold. Today, we discover why. The Queen of Sheba, the magnetic principle. Why does opportunity flee from those who chase it, and surrender to those who sit still? There is a universal law of polarity. There is that which emits, the sun, the masculine, the electric, and that which receives, the earth, the feminine, the magnetic. Solomon was the sun, fixed, radiant, full. The Queen of Sheba was the earth, in motion, seeking, drawn by gravity. Most of you have inverted the law. You feel empty, needy, and lacking, so you run after the queen. You chase the client. You beg for the sale. You plead for love. And because you are empty, you repel. Neediness is a smell. Dogs smell fear. Clients smell desperation. Lovers smell need. The Code of Sheba says, when you are full, the world becomes hungry for you. Solomon's context, and when the Queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon concerning the name of the Lord, she came to prove him with hard questions. 1 Kings 10:1. Notice, she heard, she traveled, she tested. Solomon did nothing. He was simply being the most excellent version of himself. He was building, governing, writing, creating. His fame, his reputation, traveled ahead of him like a scent on the wind. By the time she arrived, he was so absorbed in his own purpose that her arrival was merely an interesting addition to an already full life. The modern implication: you have reversed the polarity. You are trying to build a reputation by chasing attention. You post, you pitch, you promote, all from a place of, "Please notice me, I need you." Solomon built first. Then the attention came. You seek attention first, hoping to build later. It doesn't work. You cannot fake the frequency of fullness. The universe hears the echo of emptiness behind your marketing. The anatomy of neediness. The black hole effect. In physics, a black hole has such intense gravitational pull that nothing escapes, not even light. But here's the secret. Black holes are invisible. You only detect them by the absence of light around them. When you are needy, you become a psychic black hole. People feel the pull, the subtle suction of your unmet needs. They sense that an interaction with you will cost them energy. They will leave drained. So instinctively, they avoid you. They don't know why. They just know your DMs feel heavy. The Solomonic shift. Become the sun. The sun doesn't chase planets. It radiates. It gives endlessly, light, heat, energy, without any expectation of return. And because it gives, planets orbit it. They bring their own gravity, their own mass, and add to the system. The sun asks nothing. It receives everything. The black hole asks for everything. It receives nothing. Which one are you in your business, your relationships, your social media? The 5 pillars of magnetism. 1. The rumor. Reputation as currency. Solomon's fame preceded him. People talked. Merchants leaving Jerusalem whispered stories of the temple, the gold, the justice. These stories, amplified by distance, created a legend. In the digital age, your rumor is your personal brand. It's not what you say about yourself, it's what they say when you're not in the room. Action. Are you building a story worth telling? Do you do work so excellent that people have to mention it? Mediocrity is invisible. Excellence is a rumor that crosses oceans. 2. The mystery. The seduction of the veil. Sheba came to prove him with hard questions. She didn't know everything about him. The mystery drew her in. If you are an open book, you are boring. If you reply instantly, you demonstrate lack. If you broadcast every meal and thought, you leave nothing to the imagination. Action. Cultivate strategic opacity. Don't show your full hand. Don't explain your every move. Let people wonder. Curiosity is the hook that pulls them toward you. 3. The test. Competence under pressure. Sheba threw riddles at Solomon. He answered them all. There was not anything hid from the king which he told her not. Magnetism attracts, but competence retains. You can attract with a good profile picture and a compelling story, but if the queen arrives and finds you hollow, she leaves with her gold. Action. Be as good as your reputation claims. Study, prepare, sharpen your sword. Chapter 4. When opportunity tests you, you must shine. 4. The stage. Visual seduction. And when the Queen of Sheba had seen all Solomon's wisdom, and the house that he had built, and the meat of his table, and the sitting of his servants, and their apparel, there was no more spirit in her. She was knocked breathless by the aesthetics of his life, the order, the beauty, the quality. Action. How does your stage look? Your home, your workspace, your website, your appearance. Beauty is not superficial. It is the language of respect. When she arrives, will she find a throne room or a storage closet? 5. The release. Detachment. as the final magnet. At the end of her visit, Sheba left. Solomon didn't lock her in a tower. He didn't beg her to stay. He gave her all her desire and let her go. This is the ultimate polarity secret. The one who tries to possess, loses. The one who releases, attracts. If you grab the butterfly, you crush it. If you create a garden, butterflies come and go, and more return. Your value does not depend on who stays. It depends on who you are when everyone leaves. Solomon's shadow, the attraction of flies. When you become magnetic, you attract everything, queens and parasites. Flies are drawn to light, too. In his later years, Solomon forgot the sword of discernment, chapter 4. He let everyone in, the foreign wives, the flatterers, the idol worshippers. The magnetic field remained, but the filter dissolved. His temple became a carnival. The modern warning: as you grow your platform, your following, your influence, you will attract sycophants, energy vampires, and people who want your gold without your wisdom. The law: not everyone who brings a gift is a friend. Some gifts are Trojan horses. You need the cold, sharp eye of the false mother test, chapter 4, to distinguish between those who admire you and those who want to consume you. The 7-day polarity shift protocol. This is uncomfortable. It rewires decades of chasing behavior. Day 1 to 7. The initiative fast. For 1 full week, you do not initiate anything non-essential. Do not text first, unless it's urgent family or work. Do not pitch. Do not ask for the sale. Do not seek plans. Instead, channel all that energy into building your temple. Work out harder. Read deeper. Create better content. Organize your space. Develop your craft. The inevitable result. Days 1 to 3. Silence. The world, used to you chasing, notices your absence. A small vacuum forms. Days 4 to 5. Curiosity. Where is he? What is he doing? Days 6 to 7. Attraction. They will reach out. And when they ask what you've been doing, you reply with calm, grounded truth. I've been focused on building my foundation. What's happening with you? You are no longer the beggar. You are now the occupied king. And occupied kings are the most attractive beings in the universe. The Queen of Sheba crossed a desert because she heard a rumor about a man who had become the sun. You don't need to cross a desert. You need to close your laptop, put down your phone, and turn inward. The entire modern economy is built on making you chase notifications, likes, sales, validation. It is a system designed to keep you empty, needy, and running on a wheel. Solomon offers the escape hatch. The question is not, how do I get them to notice me? The question is, what am I building that is worth crossing a desert to see? Are you radiating heat, light, and purpose? Or are you a black hole, invisible and pulling, wondering why no one wants to get close? The sun doesn't chase the planets. The sun burns. And the planets, by the law of gravity, must come to it. Light your fire. Let them come. Episode 7. A Time for Everything. Mastering the Cosmic Rhythms in a 24/7 world. The old king sits in his garden. His hands, which once lifted the sword of judgment and received the Queen of Sheba, now tremble. His eyes, which once burned with the fire of 1,000 visions, now gaze quietly at the falling leaves. He is Solomon at the end, the master of everything. And he takes his pen to write the most famous, most misunderstood words in human history. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. People read this at funerals with sad voices. They think it's a poem about resignation, a shoulder shrug at fate. They are tragically wrong. Solomon is not being passive. He is revealing the master key to warfare. He is decoding the cosmic clock. And you, in your modern 24/7 world of endless scrolling and constant pressure to produce, have smashed that clock and wonder why your life feels like permanent, grinding winter. A time for everything. Mastering the cosmic rhythms. Why do you feel exhausted, failing, and behind, even when you're working harder than ever? Because you are trying to harvest in winter. You are trying to plant in the drought of summer. You are fighting the universe instead of surfing its waves. Modern society has declared war on time. We have lights that never go out, stores that never close, notifications that never sleep. We have created a world of perpetual summer, and in doing so, we have destroyed the natural cycle that all life depends on. Solomon's wisdom is not a sad poem. It is a military strategy manual. He is saying, identify the season, act accordingly, and you will be invincible. Misidentify the season, and you will be crushed by forces you never saw coming. Solomon's context. Solomon didn't just build the temple, he spent 7 years doing it. 7 years of planning, sourcing materials, negotiating with Hiram, quarrying stones. He didn't rush. He understood that a sacred structure requires a sacred gestation period. He also knew when to stop building and start dedicating. He knew when to fight and when to make peace. His reign was prosperous because he moved with the current, not against it. The Greek framework, Chronos versus Kairos. The ancient Greeks had 2 words for time, and you need both. Chronos, chronological, sequential, quantitative time. The clock, the calendar, the 9 to 5. This is the time of schedules and deadlines. It is linear. It marches forward and devours everything. This is the time of the slave. Kairos, the opportune moment, qualitative time, the right time, the window of opportunity that opens and closes. This is the time of the king. It cannot be measured in minutes. It must be sensed. The modern implication: you are trapped in Chronos. You live by alarms, deadlines, and the pressure of the ticking clock. You have lost all connection to Kairos. You propose marriage when the relationship is in winter. You launch a product when the market is in drought. You push, 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 because the clock says you're running out of time, while the cosmic season screams, wait. The 4 seasons of every human endeavor. Nature doesn't argue with winter. It prepares. You must learn to diagnose the season you are in, personally, professionally, relationally, and stop fighting it. 1. Winter, the season of death and planning. Symptoms: nothing grows. Sales are dead. You feel isolated, stuck, depressed. Projects stall. Relationships feel cold. The error: panicking. Trying to force growth. Desperately launching things. Burning energy trying to make it look like there's life. The Solomonic strategy: rest and root. In winter, life doesn't stop. It goes underground. This is the time for study, for strategy, for sharpening the axe, Chapter 1, for cleaning the temple, Chapter 2. Do not launch. Do not initiate. Prepare. Winter is the womb of spring, but only if you stop screaming and start resting. 2. Spring, the season of planting and fragility. Symptoms: new ideas sprout, a first date, a new business direction, fragile hope, tiny green shoots. The error, shouting about it from the rooftops, trying to harvest immediately, exposing the fragile shoot to frost. The Solomonic strategy: protect and nurture. The plant is a baby. Water it in silence. Do not tell everyone. Do not expect revenue yet. Protect your new vision from the skeptical frost of others. Work with faith, not for immediate results. 3. Summer, the season of aggressive growth. Symptoms: explosive energy. Opportunities multiply. The sun is high. Everything you touch seems to grow. The error: relaxing, taking a vacation in the harvest, believing it will last forever without effort. The Solomonic strategy: maximum intensity. This is the time to work 14-hour days, to scale, to launch, to market aggressively. The farmer in summer works from sunrise to sunset because the window is short. Do not sleep during your summer. 4. Autumn, the season of harvest and pruning. Symptoms: fruits ripen, money arrives, recognition comes, the year's work pays off. The error: believing it will last forever, spending it all, refusing to cut dead branches. The Solomonic strategy: gather and prune, collect the profit, enjoy it, but save for the coming winter, and most importantly, cut. Prune relationships that no longer serve. Prune projects that are draining you. Prepare to let things die so new life can come. The art of stalking. Active patience. The word patience has bad PR. It sounds passive, weak. Change it to stalking. Watch a lion on the savannah. He spends 90% of his time utterly still, watching the gazelle. Is he lazy? No. He is in maximum tension. He is calculating distance, wind, the exact second to explode. He is waiting for Kairos, the precise moment the gazelle drinks. This is Solomonic patience. It is not inaction. It is potential action held in a coiled spring. It is more exhausting to hold the bow taut than to fire the arrow. But the king knows. Fire too soon, and you miss. Fire too late, and you starve. The technology of rest, the Sabbath principle. God created the world in 6 days and rested on the seventh. Did the omnipotent Creator need a nap? No. He rested to seal the creation, to allow the work to set, to establish the rhythm. Modern hustle culture mocks rest. Grind never stops. Sleep when you're dead. This is the philosophy of fools. If a bow is always taut, it loses its elasticity. If a field is always planted, it becomes barren. If you never rest, your brain cannot consolidate learning, your body cannot repair, and your spirit cannot receive inspiration. Actionable protocol. Institute a digital Sabbath. 1 day a week, or even 12 hours, completely disconnect from screens, work, and productivity. Walk, sit, talk, sleep, read paper. On Monday, you will return not as the same person, but as someone who has been reset. Solomon's shadow. The impatience of the aged king. In his later years, Solomon violated his own wisdom. He multiplied wives, gold, and chariots, all things the Torah forbade a king to accumulate excessively. Why? Because he had stopped listening to the seasons. He tried to prolong summer indefinitely. He refused to enter the winter of letting go. He accumulated, 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 and in doing so, sowed the seeds of the kingdom's division the moment he died. The modern mirror. Debt as crystallized impatience. What is financial debt? It is borrowed time. It is demanding the harvest in spring and paying for it with the labor of your future summers. You want the car now, summer desire, but you are in the winter of your savings. So, you borrow from your future self. You mortgage your tomorrows to fund your todays. Solomon warned, "The borrower is servant to the lender." Debt is voluntary slavery to the clock. It forces you to work in seasons you should be resting, to produce in seasons you should be planning. The patient man saves and invests. He buys his freedom. The impatient man borrows and consumes. He sells it. Synchronicity, the wink of the universe. When you align with Kairos, strange things happen. You think of someone, and they call. You need an answer, and you find it on a park bench. Doors open without you knocking. This is not magic. This is resonance. You are no longer rowing against the current. You are floating with it. The universe becomes a tailwind. The sign: ease. Not absence of effort, but absence of friction. If a door requires kicking, it's probably not your door, or not your time. The rule: when the window opens, move without hesitation. Kairos is a narrow gate. It opens for a moment, then swings shut. The prepared mind recognizes it. The fearful mind hesitates, and the moment is lost forever. Solomon's greatest gift to you is not a blueprint for eternal summer. It is a map of the seasons. Your suffering comes from demanding that winter be summer. Your burnout comes from refusing the gift of rest. Your failure comes from planting in the wrong soil and cursing the sky. The clock of the world never stops. But you have an internal calendar. So the question for this week is not, how can I work harder? The question is, what season am I in right now? And am I fighting it or flowing with it? If you are in winter, stop trying to harvest. Go underground. Read. Plan. Sleep. Let the roots grow. If you are in spring, protect the shoot. Don't show it to everyone. Nurture it in silence. If you are in summer, work like the sun won't last, because it won't. If you are in autumn, gather the fruit, give thanks, and have the courage to prune. The wise king does not curse the snow. He builds a fire and waits for the thaw. Time is not your enemy. It is your partner. Dance with it, not against it. Episode 8. The Shadow and Vanity. Mastering the Ego in the Age of Influence. Jerusalem, 931 BC. The most beautiful garden in the world. Peacocks strut on emerald lawns. Fountains of imported marble cascade into pools of scented water. 1,000 women wait in the palace. Tons of gold sit in vaults. And the king, the wisest, richest, most powerful man who ever lived, takes a piece of papyrus and writes the most devastating sentence in all of literature. Vanity of vanities, saith the preacher. Vanity of vanities. All is vanity. Havel havalim. Smoke of smokes. Vapor of vapors. What happened? How does the man who had the code, who mastered demons, who built the temple, who seduced the queen of Sheba, how does he end his days staring at the greatest civilization on earth and calling it smoke? He forgot the one thing the code cannot protect you from: yourself. The Shadow and Vanity. Mastering the Ego. What happens when you get everything you ever wanted and realize you're still empty? Solomon's fall is the most important chapter of his life, because it's the chapter you don't want to read. You want the ring, the temple, the queen, the gold. You don't want the autopsy. But if you succeed, If you actually apply these chapters, you will arrive at Solomon's garden. You will have the money, the influence, the admiration. And then you will face the real test, the monster that grows in direct proportion to your success. Your ego. The brighter the light, the darker the shadow. Solomon's light was so brilliant that his shadow swallowed kingdoms. Today, we perform the surgery you will need most when you have won. It didn't happen overnight. Solomon didn't wake up one morning and decide to worship pagan idols. The fall was a slow, comfortable drift. First, a political marriage to an Egyptian princess. Wise, diplomatic. Then another, to a Moabite. Then Ammonite, Edomite, Sidonian, Hittite. Each wife brought her gods, small altars at first, just to keep the peace. Then larger altars. Then Solomon himself began to worship. 700 wives, 300 concubines, 1,000 influences pulling him away from the center. The man who wrote, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom," ended his life burning incense to Chemosh, the god of the Moabites, a deity worshipped with child sacrifice. The modern mirror. You don't have 1,000 wives, but you have 1,000 distractions, 1,000 inputs, 1,000 voices telling you who to be. And slowly, imperceptibly, you drift from your center. The ego doesn't announce its coup. It just whispers, "You can handle it. You're special. The rules don't apply to you." The meaning of vanity. Havel. The translation vanity is weak. It makes you think of a model looking in a mirror. The Hebrew word havel means vapor, smoke, breath. Solomon is not saying life is meaningless. He's saying life is ungraspable. Try to catch smoke. You see it, it has shape, it's real, but when you close your fist, there's nothing there. This is the nature of the material world. It's not an illusion, but it's not solid. You cannot build a permanent house on a cloud. The ego's trap. The ego tries to find permanence in the impermanent. It thinks, when I have the $1 million, I will be safe forever. You get the million, and the next day you're anxious about losing it, or you want 2 million. The satisfaction evaporated like smoke. You try to fill an infinite void with finite things. The first glass of wine is delicious. The 10th makes you sick. The 20th kills you. But the ego keeps drinking, convinced the next glass will be the one that finally satisfies. The psychology of the shadow. Jung and Solomon. Carl Jung said, "The brighter the light, the darker the shadow." Solomon was the son of his time. His light was blinding, but his shadow was proportionate. What was his shadow? Lust. Not just sexual, but the lust to possess everything. All wisdom, all gold, all women. Pride. The belief that he was above the laws he taught. Control. The need to manage every outcome, which eventually became tyranny. You have a shadow too, and the more successful you become, the larger it grows. The disciplined entrepreneur's shadow is a secret desire for chaos and excess. The spiritual guru's shadow is a hidden hunger for money and power. The perfect parent's shadow is resentment toward the children who consume their life. The law. What you repress, you will eventually express. The shadow doesn't disappear because you ignore it. It grows in the dark, waiting for the moment your vigilance drops. The demon's revenge. The legend of Asmodeus. Remember the ring from chapter 1? The Talmud records a terrifying legend. Asmodeus, the king of demons, challenged Solomon. "Take off your ring. Show me that your power is real, not just dependent on an object." Solomon, in his arrogance, took off the ring and handed it over. Instantly, Asmodeus swallowed it, stretched his wings, and hurled Solomon 400 miles away. He then took Solomon's form and sat on the throne. For years, Solomon wandered as a beggar, going from village to village, crying, "I am Kohelet, I am the king." And everyone thought he was mad. He ate charity soup. He slept in ditches. Until, humbled and broken, he somehow regained the ring and his throne. The metaphor. The ring is your consciousness, your discipline, your connection to Source. The moment you believe you are the Source, the moment ego says, "I did this, I am special, I don't need the daily practice," you have taken off the ring, and the demon of your own shadow takes the throne. Many successful people have experienced this. The CEO who loses everything in a scandal, the athlete who crashes after retirement, the influencer who stares at millions of followers and feels utterly alone. They took off the ring, and the shadow they never integrated came to collect. Session 7. The Resolution and Aftermath. 10 o'clock to 11:30. The Antidote. 4 protocols for ego mastery. 1. Memento mori. Remember you will die. Solomon wrote in Ecclesiastes, "It is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting, for that is the end of all men, and the living will lay it to his heart." This is not morbid. It is the ultimate liberation. The ego is terrified of death because death is the end of its special story. But the spirit doesn't fear it. Action. Put a physical reminder of mortality somewhere you'll see daily. A small skull. A note that says, "This too shall pass." When you're stressed about a business problem, look at it. It laughs. It says, "This is not that serious." 2. Define your enough. The ego never has enough. Give it 1 million, it wants 10. Give it 10, it wants 100. It's a bottomless pit. Solomon didn't define his enough. He kept accumulating until the weight crushed his kingdom. Action. Write down the number. What is enough for you? A paid-off house, a specific monthly income, a certain level of freedom. Once you hit it, change the game. Stop playing for accumulation. Start playing for contribution, for joy, for legacy. If you don't define enough, you will die on the treadmill. 3. The flattery diet. Solomon surrounded himself with yes men. No one told the king he was wrong. Action. Cultivate at least one person who does not need anything from you, who will tell you the uncomfortable truth. A mentor who isn't impressed. A friend who knew you before the success. A spouse who calls you on your nonsense. These are your real bodyguards. 4. The shadow inventory. Sit in silence and ask, what am I repressing? What do I judge most harshly in others? That's usually your own shadow. What's the secret desire you're ashamed of? What's the fear you won't admit? What's the part of you that enjoys the chaos? Acknowledge it. Name it. You don't have to act on it, but you must own it. What you own, you can manage. What you deny, owns you. Solomon's greatest gift to you is not the Proverbs on how to succeed, it's Ecclesiastes, the autopsy of a man who succeeded and found it hollow. He wrote it so you wouldn't have to live it. He fell so you could learn from his scars instead of earning your own. The code works. You will get the gold. You will build the temple. You will attract the queen. And then you will sit in your garden, surrounded by everything you ever wanted, and face the final question. Who are you when no one is watching? What remains when the applause stops, the cameras turn off, and the gold loses its gleam? If the answer is nothing, you have lost. If the answer is a quiet, grounded, grateful presence that knows it is a steward, not an owner, then you have won the only war that matters. The shadow never goes away. But it can be integrated. It can be the darkness that gives depth to your light. Look at your reflection. The king or queen staring back has a shadow behind them. Make peace with it, or it will make war on your soul. The choice, as always, is yours. Episode 9. The 72 Names. Building your power network in the age of isolation. There is a forbidden book whispered about in occult circles for centuries. The Lesser Key of Solomon, the Goetia. It claims that King Solomon summoned, subdued, and commanded 72 spirits, demons, genii, powerful entities. He sealed them in a bronze vessel with magical symbols and forced them to build his temple. 72 kings, dukes, and presidents of the infernal realms, each with a specific talent. One taught arts and sciences, another brought wealth, another found lost treasures, another granted invisibility. The superstitious read this and imagine exorcisms and sulfur. They hunt for the bronze vessel. But you, who have been decoding the symbols, know the truth. Solomon was not summoning ghosts. He was recruiting talent. The 72 spirits are a metaphor for his cabinet, his network of ambassadors, generals, architects, spies, and trade partners. And while you sit alone, typing in the dark, convinced you must do everything yourself, Solomon built an empire by commanding the power of others. Why is the myth of the self-made man the most destructive lie in modern culture? We worship the lone genius, the entrepreneur in the garage. The artist is starving in solitude. The influencer who built this from nothing. It's propaganda. It sells courses and motivates lonely people to keep grinding alone. But it's a lie. Steve Jobs had Wozniak and 100 engineers. Elon Musk has thousands of the planet's brightest minds. Oprah had a production army. And Solomon had 72 spirits. The code is simple mathematics. Your net worth will never exceed your network. If you only use your own time and your own brain, you have a ceiling. 24 hours, one mind. No matter how brilliant, you are limited. But if you have 72 spirits working for you, you have 72 brains and 1,728 hours a day at your disposal. You become omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent in your field. Stop trying to do everything yourself. Do it yourself is a poor person's mindset. Delegate it to the best is a king's. Solomon's context, the cabinet of spirits. The Goetia lists 72 demons, each with a rank and a specific domain. Baal, a king, grants invisibility, access to secret information. Paimon, a king, teaches all arts and sciences, knowledge. Bun, a duke, brings wealth and eloquence, money and persuasion. Foras, a president, teaches logic and ethics, strategy. Vasago, a prince, declares things past, present, and future, intelligence. Solomon didn't ask the warrior spirit to teach him music, or the wealth spirit to build walls. He matched specialization to function. The modern implication: you are trying to have your brother-in-law build your website, your college roommate do your accounting, and your cousin be your lawyer, all to save money. You are using the wrong tools for sacred tasks. Your cabinet. Who are the 72 spirits you need? The legal mage, a ruthless, expensive lawyer who protects your flank. The gold guardian, a tax strategist who makes your money work. The bard, a marketer who sings your value to the world. The warrior, a sales leader who fears no rejection. The architect, a systems person who builds the vessel. Chapter 2. Your job as king is not to know their crafts better than they do. Your job is to lead them, to hold the vision, to assign each spirit its place in the work. If you are the smartest person in your room, you are in the wrong room. The pact with Hiram. The strategic alliance. The Bible records Solomon's most important partnership, not with a demon, but with a king. Hiram of Tyre had something Solomon desperately needed: cedar wood, expert architects, and a maritime fleet. Solomon had something Hiram needed: wheat, oil, and access to land trade routes. They didn't compete. They didn't invade. They made a pact. And Hiram gave Solomon cedar trees and fir trees according to all his desire. And Solomon gave Hiram 20,000 measures of wheat for food to his household, and 20 measures of pure oil. Thus gave Solomon to Hiram year by year. 1 Kings 5:10-11. The law of synergy. 1 + 1 = 3. Solomon didn't try to learn shipbuilding. He outsourced that weakness to an expert. Hiram didn't try to grow wheat on the rocks of Tyre. He outsourced that weakness to Solomon. Both won. Both expanded. The modern implication. You are trying to be a generalist in a world that rewards specialists with deep pockets. You waste years trying to learn skills you could hire for a fraction of the cost of your time. The protocol. Identify your Hiram. Who has what you lack? Who lacks what you have? Propose a trade, not a transaction, an alliance. Find the complementarity, not the competition. Binding the demons, the art of negotiation and retention. In magic, Solomon bound the demons with seals so they couldn't disobey. In the real world, how do you bind powerful, ambitious people to your cause? Aligned interests. That is the only true seal. No one works for you out of charity, or even just for your vision. People work for their own interests. Ambitious people, your 72 spirits, want things: money, recognition, power, freedom, legacy. Solomon was a master psychologist. He knew what each king, general, and merchant desired, and he gave it to them. He gave the Queen of Sheba all that she desired. Chapter 6. He gave Hiram the wheat and oil that kept his kingdom fed. He gave his officials titles, lands, and honor. The seal that prevents betrayal. They must be better off with you than without you. If at any point they calculate that being with you is a burden, the seal breaks, and the demon either leaves or attacks. The modern application. For the legal mage, pay them premium rates and give them interesting work. For the gold guardian, refer them high-value clients. For the bard, give them creative freedom and public credit. For the warrior, compensate them aggressively for performance and celebrate their wins publicly. The warning. Never treat your spirits as slaves. Treat them as inferior nobles. Give them respect, recognition, and reward. A king who hoards all the glory rules alone in an empty palace. The danger of the network. Jeroboam's rebellion. One of Solomon's most capable servants was a young man named Jeroboam. He was a mighty man of valor, and Solomon, seeing his industriousness, put him in charge of the labor force of the tribe of Joseph. But the prophet Ahijah told Jeroboam that he would one day rule 10 of the 12 tribes of Israel, that God would tear the kingdom from Solomon's son because of the king's idolatry. When Solomon heard of this prophecy, he tried to kill Jeroboam. Jeroboam fled to Egypt and waited. And the moment Solomon died, he returned, led the rebellion, and split the kingdom forever. The lesson: your network can become your greatest threat if you lose your center. Solomon's paranoia, the shadow from chapter 8, made him try to destroy a potential successor rather than mentor him. His disconnection from the code meant he couldn't discern the genuine prophetic warning from treason. The very spirits he raised up became the force that tore his legacy apart. The modern warning: as you build your network, you must also build loyalty through genuine connection, not just transaction. If people follow you only for what they can get, they will leave the moment a better offer appears, or worse, they will take your throne while you sleep. Session 7. The Resolution and Aftermath. 10 o'clock to 11:30. The Protocol: Weaving your Power Network. Step 1. Audit your 5. Write down the 5 people you spend the most time with. Calculate the average of their income, ambition, health, and mindset. That average is you. If you don't like the result, you must banish low-vibration spirits and invoke new ones. It's uncomfortable. Do it anyway. Step 2. Identify your missing spirits. What talent do you lack to make your next leap? Don't say money. Say, who has the money? Don't say sales. Say, who is the best salesperson in my industry? Make a list of the 3 to 5 key roles you need. Start looking. Not for employees, for partners, collaborators, experts. Step 3. The gift method. Invocation. When approaching a powerful spirit, do not ask. Give. Research them. Find a problem they might have. Send them an article relevant to their work. Offer a free introduction to someone in your network. Give valuable feedback on their project. Bring a gift, like the Queen of Sheba brought gold. Invoke them with an offering of value. This opens doors that begging never will. Step 4. Be the host, the central node. Organize a dinner, a virtual call, or a small event. Bring together 4 to 5 interesting people from your network who don't know each other. Introduce them. Facilitate connections. Then step back and let the magic happen. You become the connector, the central node. When value flows through you, you become indispensable. You become Solomon, the one who knows everyone and brings everyone together. The myth of the lone genius is a cage. It keeps you small, exhausted, and convinced that asking for help is weakness. Solomon built an empire not with his own 2 hands, but by commanding the hands, minds, and talents of 72 spirits. He knew that a king without a cabinet is just a man with a fancy chair. Your network is your net worth, not just financially, but in wisdom, opportunity, and resilience. The quality of your life will be determined by the quality of the people you surround yourself with. So tonight, the question is not, how can I work harder? The question is, who is missing from my table? Who is the Baal, the Paimon, the Bune that I need to invite into my vessel? And what gift can I bring that will make them want to stay? The bronze vessel is your life, your organization, your character. Keep it clean, keep it worthy, keep it aligned. And then summon. Invite. Connect. The spirits are waiting. They always have been. They're just waiting for a king worth serving. Episode 10. The Fall. The Final Warning and the Coronation. The year is 931 BC. King Solomon is dead. The grandest funeral the world has ever seen unfolds in Jerusalem. Kings from every nation walk in procession. Incense blankets the city like fog. The golden shields he piled up catch the morning light one last time. But before the earth has fully settled on his tomb, the foundations of his empire begin to crack. His son, Rehoboam, raised in the soft luxury of the palace, mounts the throne. The people, exhausted by decades of forced labor and crushing taxes to fund Solomon's endless building projects, beg for mercy. Lighten the yoke your father put on us, and we will serve you. Rehoboam consults the old advisors. Serve them, and they will be yours forever. Then he consults his young, arrogant friends, the ones who grew up in the golden cage with him. They sneer, "Tell them this, my father made your yoke heavy. I will add to your yoke. My father chastised you with whips. I will chastise you with scorpions." The kingdom splits in two that very day. 10 tribes rebel. The golden age is over. Within 5 years, the Egyptian pharaoh Shishak marches on Jerusalem and loots everything. Every gold shield, every treasure, gone. How does the wisest man in history leave such a fragile legacy? How does the master of the code fail to transmit it? This is not a chapter about success. This is the autopsy. And if you are wise, you will read it before you need to live it. Why do so many who achieve greatness lose everything? And why must you learn from Solomon's corpse rather than his crown? The first 9 chapters gave you the code: the ring, the temple, the tongue, the sword, the gold, the magnetism, the timing, the shadow mastery, the network. If you apply them, you will succeed. It's mathematical. But success is not the end. It is the point of maximum danger. Solomon at his peak was more vulnerable than Solomon the beginner, because success inflates the ego. It isolates you from feedback. It makes you believe your own legend. And it attracts predators, sycophants, and parasites who will smile while they pick your bones. This final chapter is not a feel-good conclusion. It is a quarantine ward. Enter here to examine the disease that kills kings, and leave with the only vaccine that exists: eternal vigilance over your own soul. The 3 laws the king broke. In Deuteronomy 17, God gave specific laws for future kings of Israel, a constitution designed to prevent exactly what happened to Solomon. Law 1. He shall not multiply horses to himself. Horses were the tanks of the ancient world: military power, self-reliance, brute force. Solomon amassed 12,000 horsemen and 1,400 chariots. He stopped trusting the covenant and started trusting steel. When you base your security on your own strength, you live in constant fear that someone stronger will appear. You become paranoid, then aggressive, then tyrannical. Law 2. Neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away. We've covered this. 700 wives, 300 concubines. Not just lust, influence. Each wife brought her gods, her culture, her expectations. Solomon, the man who wrote the book on wisdom, slowly absorbed the values of the people he should have been transforming. Your inner circle determines your destiny. If you surround yourself with people who don't share your core values, you will eventually adopt theirs. Law 3. Neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. Not don't have wealth. Don't multiply it for himself. Solomon stopped circulating wealth, chapter 5, and started hoarding it. golden shields on walls, dead gold, inert metal. He became a reservoir when he should have remained a river. The flow stopped, the system clogged, and the stagnation poisoned everything. The modern mirror. Your horses are your over-reliance on your own intellect, your refusal to delegate, your belief that you alone can handle it. Your wives are the distractions, the dopamine loops, the people who don't align with your purpose but entertain you. Your gold is the wealth you accumulate without purpose, the savings hoarded out of fear, the resources that could be circulating and creating life but instead sit dead and heavy. The Solomon Paradox, wise for others, blind for himself. Modern psychologists have coined a term, the Solomon Paradox. It describes people who can give brilliant advice to others about their problems while making disastrous decisions in their own lives. Solomon judged the case of the two prostitutes with stunning clarity. He advised kings and queens. He wrote thousands of proverbs of wisdom. But he could not see his own blind spots. He couldn't see that his political marriages were spiritual poison. He couldn't see that his accumulation was violating divine law. He couldn't see that his son was being raised in a sterile hothouse, not forged in the fire of reality. Why? Because the ego creates a blind spot directly in front of you. When you are emotionally involved, when it's your money, your legacy, your pleasure, you lose perspective. The modern implication: you need a jester. In medieval courts, the jester was the only one who could tell the king the truth through humor, because everyone else was too afraid to speak. You need someone in your life who does not need anything from you, who will tell you the uncomfortable truth when your ego is blinding you. If everyone around you applauds, you are in mortal danger. The absence of criticism is not proof of perfection. It is proof of fear. The drift: how great kings become tyrants. Solomon didn't wake up one morning and decide to worship Moloch. Evil never enters all at once. It seeps in through 1,000 small compromises. Year 1. A political marriage to an Egyptian princess. Wise diplomacy. A small altar for her gods? Just to keep the peace. Year 5. Another marriage. Another altar. The temple still stands. God will understand. Year 10. 100 wives. The altars multiply. Solomon occasionally visits them. Year 20. 500 wives. Solomon now personally offers incense to Ashtoreth. The cognitive dissonance is managed by telling himself, I am the king. I am above the law. I can handle it. Year 30. 700 wives. The temple is neglected. The prophets warn him. He ignores them. He has become what his ancestors fled from, a pharaoh. The mechanism of the drift. 1. Small deviation seems harmless. 2. Rationalization. I can handle it. 3. Repetition. The deviation becomes habit. 4. Desensitization. The line blurs. 5. Full inversion. What was once forbidden becomes normal. The modern mirror. The small lie to a client becomes routine dishonesty. The occasional treat becomes a daily addiction. The little compromise on a core value becomes a complete abandonment of principle. The drift is silent, comfortable, and deadly. And it happens to everyone who stops vigilantly auditing themselves. The Rehoboam syndrome, the failure of succession. Here is Solomon's greatest tragedy. He was a magnificent king and a catastrophic father. Rehoboam was raised in the palace, surrounded by luxury, never wanting for anything never facing a consequence. He inherited the gold, but not the grit. He had the throne, but not the wisdom. When the moment of crisis came, he didn't consult the elders who had served his father for decades. He consulted his friends, other soft, arrogant young men who had also never been tested, and their advice destroyed the kingdom. The generational law. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. Solomon, a strong man forged in the ambition of his father David, created good times. Those good times raised Rehoboam, a weak man, and that weak man created the hard times of civil war and invasion. The modern implication: if you build an empire but raise children, or successors, who have never struggled, who have never wanted for anything, who have never failed, you have not built a legacy. You have built a house of cards that will collapse the moment you're gone. The greatest gift you can give your successors is not money. It is hunger. It is the experience of overcoming obstacles. It is the knowledge that they can survive without you. If you take away their struggle, you take away their strength. The 4 laws of sustainability. How to avoid the fall. 1. The Day 1 Law. Beginner's Mind. Jeff Bezos has a rule at Amazon. It's always Day 1. Day 2 is stasis, followed by irrelevance, followed by death. The moment you think you are an expert, you stop learning. The moment you believe you've made it, you start declining. Action. Never stop being a student. Read. Seek mentors. Admit what you don't know. Stay hungry. The day you rest on your laurels is the day the weeds begin to grow. 2. The law of pruning. Continuous minimalism. Success brings complexity. More people, more projects, more commitments. Complexity kills. It fragments focus, drains energy, and hides the rot. Solomon died suffocated by his own complexity. 1,000 women, endless construction, infinite bureaucracy. Action. Every quarter, audit your life. What can you cut? What projects are dead but still consuming energy? What relationships are draining you? What subscriptions, commitments, and obligations can you burn? Prune aggressively. Travel light. 3. The law of the successor. Legacy transmission. Do not wait until the end to teach your children or successors. Involve them in the process now. Let them see the sweat, the failures, the tough decisions. Let them earn their own stripes. Action. If you have children, give them responsibilities. Let them fail while the stakes are low. If you have a protege, delegate real authority, not just tasks. Teach them the code, not just the results. Build character, not just bank accounts. 4. The law of return to the source. Spiritual anchoring. Never disconnect from the source of your power. For Solomon, that was God, the covenant, the temple. For you, it might be meditation, nature, prayer, a core philosophy. Whatever reminds you that you are a channel, not the source. Action. As your success grows, your spiritual practice must grow in proportion to hold the weight. If the ship gets bigger and the anchor stays small, the storm will sweep you away. Deepen your roots in direct proportion to the height of your branches. Solomon died. His gold is gone. His palaces are dust. His kingdom is divided. But the code remains, because the code was never about Solomon. It was about the pattern, the architecture of consciousness that turns mortals into vessels for the divine. You have walked through all 10 chambers of the temple now. 1. You have the ring, sovereignty over your own mind. 2. You have the temple, order and structure in your life. 3. You have the tongue, the power to decree reality. 4. You have the sword, discernment to cut through lies. 5. You have the gold, alchemical mastery of wealth. 6. You have the magnetism, the power to attract without chasing. 7. You have the timing, wisdom to flow with seasons. 8. You have the shadow, integration of your darkness. 9. You have the network, the 72 spirits who multiply your power. 10. And you have the warning, the knowledge that the crown is heavy and vigilance is eternal. The throne is empty. It has always been empty, waiting for someone willing to bear the weight. Not the weight of gold. That's light. The weight of responsibility. The weight of ruling your own impulses before you dare to influence others. The weight of being the same person in the dark, alone, that you are in the light, applauded. Who will sit on that throne? Will it be the slave who blames the economy, the government, their parents, their circumstances? Who waits for someone else to save them? Who leaks their power in complaint and gossip and distraction? Or will it be the sovereign, the one who puts on the ring, who builds the temple, who speaks the decree, who wields the sword, who flows with the gold, who attracts the queen, who respects the seasons, who integrates the shadow, who summons the spirits, who heeds the warning? The choice was always yours. The code was always available. The only question that ever mattered was, are you ready to stop being a subject and become the king? The old king is dead. Long live the new king. Long live the new queen. Rise, put on the ring, and begin to reign.